This is a conference meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in Council Chambers, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, October 15th, 2019, at 7:05 p.m. Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Present.
Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson is
She's coming.
present. Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Here.
Council President Eason.
Here.
Also present is Joyce Lanier, the City Clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, the Business Administrator, Kenneth Douglas, the Fire Director, Adrian Mapp, the Finance Director, Marty Mays is present, he stepped out the room, Todd Warren, the Police Director, Marlon G. Towns, Legislative Research Officer, and Lisette Sanchez, the Record Support Technician. Please stand for a moment of silence.
Can we recognize Council President Maurice Williams, football coach, passed away?
Right. Maurice Williams is one of our football coaches who passed away on
I believe it was Sunday.
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 So let's pray for his family and our school district. Amen.
Please be apprised, anyone wishing to discuss agenda or general items shall sign one book. Each person signing the book will be allowed to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 EDSEC, the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was published in the Star Ledger on July 5th, 2019, and the record transcript on July 11th, 2019, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall and filed in the office of the City Clerk. Is Ms. Garrett here?
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman Reed.
she's going to be delayed due to an accident, so I told her we would acknowledge her when she arrives.
Okay.
Are there any resolutions and ordinances on tonight's agenda that the council wish to discuss?
And let me just I want
Yes,
to
Council.
welcome everybody to the council meeting, and just a little housekeeping so that we'll know that there will be no talking in the audience. If you need to have a conversation, please step outside. There will be no yelling out in the audience. Our officer will step to you the first time, just ask you to be quiet. If that doesn't work, then he will ask you to step outside. So we're going to run this meeting so we can all get out here at a decent hour, and we're going to stay on target for business. And please make sure when you come to the mic, your comments that you're going to make are relative to the improvement of this city, how we can, as a council, make improvements, and that we can all work together. Okay. Councilman Coley.
Yes, Council President, 3/60/2019.
360.
Yes.
Is,
We're not adding any additional money. All we're doing is extending the date. We haven't hit the $10,000 yet, but he's finishing up some assistance on the conversion regarding the bulk lien sale properties.
okay. All right, thanks. Thank you.
And,
And 3/63/2019. I'm glad that we are really getting serious about our water. And my, I guess, question and comment to this right here is, if and when we do get our water infrastructure system up to the point where we really don't need, I guess, an emergency interconnect, where we are producing enough water to possibly sell to other towns, is there like a termination clause in his contract if we ever get to that point, and within those 10 years?
The answer is no, but I don't think that we'll be at that point until close to the termination date of this contract.
Okay.
It'll take us 10 years to improve the system gradually with the capital improvements that we need. And because you have, throughout the city, tremendous development interest, the way to be able to meet that development interest and also meet the requirements the additional capacity requirements that development will bring would be through this contract and another connection that we're working on.
All right, that's all I have, Council President, thank you.
Right, and just
Council
so that
President?
we, one moment, Council. 48, 2019, when we get to the approval part, we probably will postpone that until we go into executive session, then we'll vote on that later. Because we're going into executive session on that and litigation tonight. There's one other one that we're going to be talking about in executive session, so we will vote on them later. Council, who was that? Councilman Johnson?
Yeah, Council President, I just had a second question to the BA on 363-2019. I think the question that I have is, are we out of the water yet with the DO
DEP?
on half and a half the connection?
There's still a notice of violation that's outstanding, and we're working on the certification of our firm capacity. And we've been working with DEP over the last several months on those calculations.
Okay.
So in terms of whether we're out of hot water, I think we have the situation under control. We're working on satisfying DEP's inquiry. And this contract and the other connection that we're discussing will go a long way to satisfying that.
Okay. All right, thanks, B.A. Hartwick. Council President, I did want to raise up the issue of 361-2019 in its amended form. I'd just like to state to my council colleagues that if possible, we can have this go on consent agenda and let this particular legislation fly through, because the library is dependent on this action being taken care of tonight. So that would be, this actually is part of my library report, that they had to table some things because of this. They need it so they can have their emergency meeting next week. So if my council colleagues would just weigh in and with a positive yes vote, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Council President,
Councilwoman Williams?
through you to Councilman Johnson, do you want to just wait for your report to expound on what your report is so that we can?
No, I don't have a report. I just know that they had to do some things at their last meeting because they didn't have the funds.
They had to postpone some things, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they need this resolution to go through tonight so they can act on the emergency meeting next week.
Okay. And to Mr. Hartwick, we were waiting for some backup to this, remember?
We got it.
Did you bring it for tonight?
So I can go downstairs and get it. It's actually sitting on my desk.
Okay.
So the backup is, there is a contract that they haven't approved yet, that they're waiting to approve, which is with Dennis Cowell Architects. There is a letter from the auditors and some emails regarding the fees for the open audits for 15, 16, 17, and 18. And then there's no backup yet on the computer stuff because they're in the middle of doing an RFP, so we estimated that amount. And because of the amendment today, I had to take some of the money that was allocated in the original draft that you had for computer services and put it towards the architectural services to make sure that there was enough there.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to ask a question about your 49-2019. I see with the attachment with that, it refers to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Do we need to include that in the signage for this particular resolution?
Yes, that's going to be part of the signage, yes.
Okay, wonderful. The other one I had was, no, that's all I need. The other one we're going to deal with later. Thank you.
We're going, I mentioned that in executive session, we're going to do 48-2019 and 338-2019. So we will vote on them after we come out of executive session. Anyone else have any questions?
I'm sorry, which is executive session 48 and then,
338.
okay.
Move the agenda.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.
Councilwoman Williams and
All in favor?
Councilman-
Oh,
Aye.
just for the record, Attorney Gracia R. Montelis arrived at 7:12 p.m.
Do we know, Council President, the TV's gonna, is it working yet? Did we get the TV?
I don't know if they found an extension cord.
So we just gotta cut it on?
This is a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in Council Chambers, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey, on Tuesday, October 15th, 2019, following the conference meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Present.
Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Here.
Councilwoman Williams?
Present.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Here.
Council President Eason.
Here.
Also present, Joyce Lanier, the City Clerk, Chris M. Hartwick, the Business Administrator, Gracia R. Montillis, the City Attorney, Kenneth Douglas, the Fire Director, Adrian Mapp, the Finance Director, Marty Mays, Planning and Public Works Director, Todd Warren, Police Director, Marlon G. Towns, Legislative Research Officer, and Lisette Sanchez, Record Support Technician. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 EDSEC, the Sunshine Law, has been met. A notice of this meeting was published in the Star Ledger on July 5th, 2019, and the record transcript on July 11, 2019, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall and filed in the office of the City Clerk. Approval of meeting minutes. May 24th, 2018, special meeting minutes. Councilman Jackson was absent during this meeting and should abstain. Motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Coley and Johnson.
On the motion.
On the motion, Councilman Jackson?
The cover says that I was present and absent at the same time.
Say it again?
It says that I was present and absent. So I guess we strike out that I was present.
Okay. What says that you was present?
The minutes.
So I think that we should just make a motion to postpone these minutes to the next meeting so I can check.
Okay.
Can I get a motion to postpone to the next meeting?
Move.
Second.
Would they have to withdraw their first motion or something?
The second motion supersedes
Okay.
it. Motion by Councilman Johnson Jr., second by Councilman Jackson.
Yes, that's correct.
Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Eason.
Yes.
June 18th, 2019, public hearing of the calendar year 2019 local municipal budget. Councilman Jackson and Councilman Johnson Jr. were absent and should abstain. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move.
Motion by Councilman Williams.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
I should abstain.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Eason.
Yes.
Monthly revenue collections, 2019. Department of Community Service for the month of September collected $23,062. The Office of the City Clerk for September collected $274. The Orange Historic Preservation Commission for the month of September collected $350. Constable reports, there are none. OPA reports, for the month of September 2019, 118 requests were received and 112 were completed. There are still 6 outstanding. Council reports.
Anyone on the council have some any reports that they'd like to make tonight?
Council President?
Councilman Williams?
For the Finance report, Committee, the report is before you, but there are things highlighted. Mr. Hartwick, there was supposed to be an update on the FMBA, the OMEBA. Are we moving forward with both of them?
The OMEBA is ready to move forward. Those salary sheets should be here any minute. The signed FOA contract page came in today. We have not completed the calculations. So we can either hold it or until we have the calculations, but I was also going to ask the council at a later point this evening about having a special meeting for other purposes, and we could put it on that night as well.
A special meeting this month?
A special meeting next week.
Okay, and then you already discussed the library, so that was it, Council President. Oh, and did we state that we were withdrawing one? You stated, did you,
No, we didn't withdraw anything.
the Reynolds Terrace, did you,
The what?
Reynolds Terrace?
What number?
Maybe it didn't make it back,
I don't think it's on here.
okay, so that was,
Right.
that it just won't come back, okay. That's it, Council President.
Anyone else have any reports? Move the agenda.
Police Department?
Oh, I'm sorry. And I have the fire department, I'm sorry.
Good evening, Todd Warren, Director of Police.
Good evening.
How's everybody? I want to begin by thanking Councilwoman Wooten for the domestic violence program that we just held in front of the police department this evening, bringing attention to that situation. Thank you for allowing us to participate with you. And due to several open-air drug dealing complaints in the Central Place area, the Narcotics Unit, in conjunction with the Essex County Sheriff's Department Bureau of Narcotics, executed warrants over in that area, and on Oakwood, several arrests were made, and we're going to continue to pay attention to that area to deal with the open-air drug trafficking and sales, and that's basically it.
Council President,
Any questions from any council members?
ladies before gentlemen,
Councilman Johnson?
I yield to Councilwoman Wu.
Councilman Wooten?
Councilman. I just want to say I received a lot of calls from the people that live on Oakwood Place and Central Place and in that area. They want to thank the police department for what you do over there in that community. And it was quite a shock to some seniors there, but they said thank you so much. And they wanted you to keep up the good work, or keep up the work, like don't let up. That's what I was told. So thank y'all so much.
Anyone else?
Yes,
Councilor
Council
Johnson?
President. Director, thanks for coming tonight, that brief report. We have a tendency to always talking to your number one man, and it's always about crime, the big numbers. But how about the nuisance stuff? Have you seen a downtick in petty crimes like people breaking in cars and car theft? Because that affects a lot of people's pocket through their insurance companies.
Yeah, it does. There has been a reduction. I don't have the exact figures, but according to UCR, they have been decreased significantly.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thanks.
Anyone else? Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Director Douglas?
Kenneth Douglas, Fire Director. Good evening, Council President.
Good evening, sir.
Just to remind you that the month of October begins Fire Prevention Month in the city of Orange Township. Actually, Fire Prevention Week is celebrated nationally throughout the United States by the NFPA, the National Fire Prevention Agency. For this entire month, the Fire Department is on a tour to do fire presentations throughout all the schools and the senior buildings through the city of Orange Township. So far, we have probably hit half the schools with multiple presentations in the last couple of weeks, serving over 1,200 children, teaching them fire safety, and taking some memorabilia home to them so they can share with their parents. Also would like to recognize Sean Simons and Alvo Lanos. These two gentlemen are survivors of the Seton Hall fire almost 20 years ago, I believe, I think 20 years ago. They did a presentation. It's the second year that we got them, but they did a presentation for the senior class in Orange High School. I found it important to ensure the fact that they get this presentation to tell their story as it relates to being students in college and freshmen in college, and a presentation that keeps them safe on their way to the next level of their career is, if they choose to go to college, and also something they can take home to their parents during this month of safety in October. Just to update you on a fire that we had at 213 Duane Street. There was a fire in the basement. At this point, this fire is undetermined at this time. All persons did get out safely, but it is under investigation by the prosecutor's office. I have no further information on that. And just to update on the new class, all 19 firefighters actually on the tail end of their certification training. In November, they have their final training between driver, vehicle awareness, and operational procedures as it relates to the fire department, and they will be counting towards the count as it relates to the number of personnel on duty. We can't count them right away just because they're not ready until they go through a series of training. They got the 60-day evaluation in 90 days, and now they're at this point. They almost have a year on the job because they got hired in February. So I'll keep you up to date on their progress. And that's it. That's my report for tonight.
Any questions for our director?
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
I saw some of the events on Instagram.
Yes.
Hilarious. The kids looked so excited. They were crawling through things, and I think it's good. The firefighters had the face mask on, which we know normally scares the kid. And you just is this the first year you had the dog? Because I've never seen.
I forgot to mention that.
Orange Fire Department. I mean, it makes it interesting. You know what I mean? And I don't think you going to my son's school yet, but I'm pretty sure they'll come home and tell me about it. But it just, from what I saw on social media, the kids were able to touch the firefighters as they were crawling through the crowds, and I just keep up the good work, because we need these kids, you know, to know how to get out and not play with matches and things like that. But yeah, I like the social media uptick. I'm starting to see a lot of your programs and things on there. So let the community know what you're doing.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I forgot to mention it all. I apologize for that. It's a hit with the children.
Yes.
Any other council
Yeah,
members?
Council President, I just want
Councilman Johnson?
to direct a take back to the men and women in blue, that excellent job. We know as soon as the month rolled around, which is Fire Safety Month, we had 2 major fires in our town.
Yes.
And you guys and gals was out there fighting the blazes while we were home comfortably in bed sleeping, and thanks for keeping us in the loop. But I'm starting to realize just how dangerous first responders are now that I'm in this position as a legislator, and see what you guys sacrifice and do. I just would take back to the crew and tell them that from the council and Harold Johnson, we thank you guys for doing the best you can. You saved one house, and I believe you lost one, but excellent job.
Yes, thank you. I will do that. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Thank you, Director.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Council reports? Or did we do that?
We did that
didn't we?
already.
Communication and petitions, none. Citizen comments. Pursuant to Section 4-10 of the Code of the City of Orange Township, each person addressing the council shall step up to the microphone, shall give his or her name and address in an audible tone for the record, and unless further time is granted by the presiding officer, shall limit his or her address to 5 minutes. The public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further comments.
Mr. Jeffrey Fell?
Good evening. My name is Jeffrey Feld, a local businessman, an attorney, and a mortgagee whose local business address is 268 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey. As my custom, yesterday I emailed a heads-up memo to various parties with exhibits. I just ask that it's been referenced in the minutes and be attached because there are exhibits that I gave that people need to see that include a September 2013 memo by Mr. Mapp to the local finance board. And you need to read it because of what he said almost 6 years ago and what we now know today. As to one of the ordinances that are on for first reading, that being the amendment sponsored by Councilperson Coley as to the identification policy, when I reviewed it this morning, there's no signature from an in-house city attorney approving the form. I just want to bring that out. Also, the issue always of Oprah noncompliance. When I make the Oprah request for the monthly report, there's a history that lists all the open items since the year, and I think that should be starting being disclosed on the agenda, how many open Oprah items we have. I gave you yesterday like a list of upcoming court dates. I misstated one thing. On the October 25th cycle will be the Feld 18 motion to vacate the order and the Feld 19 protective order. I just wanted to be clarified that those two are on the October 25th and the other motions are on the November 8th cycle. I now had to talk about an issue that I discovered or confirmed this past weekend. I want to thank the BA today for making sure that the 2017 audit was reposted on the public website. At the last meeting, there was a walk-on resolution where each of the council members certified that they read Part 3 of the audit. The question is Part 1, which is the footnotes. Because in the footnotes, and particularly in footnote number 10, which talks about municipal debt, it talks about what is the city's net debt. In the calendar year 2018 audit, it says the amount is about $24 million. However, the calendar year 2018 annual debt statement said it was about $12 million. Last meeting, you approved on first reading 6 bond ordinances, and there's a supplemental debt statement. It begins with an incorrect number that doesn't tie into our audit. This is a very serious issue. The reason I say it's serious is because the school board in 2018 went into the public municipal bond market. And in the audit, it refers to how much net debt was in there. They referred to a number that was $13 million in 2017. When you look at the 2017 audit that I was able to look at today, at that note, the amount is $17 million. This is the problem we're having, is that the numbers that our auditors, I trust Mr. McInerney and his firm, which establish numbers, but we don't use those numbers when we start the next year. There's a problem here, especially when we're going into the municipal capital markets. And that's something that needs to be looking at, because our audit and our user-friendly budget conflict with the posted annual debt statement and the supplemental debt statement. And we will be going back to the local finance board in December. And I know they do not want to see my smiling face when I raise this issue again about what we have. You'll be going into closed executive session. You need to talk about some of the litigation that's going on. You will talk about that. Today, Judge Fuentes was on a panel, and there was an opinion that he issued, and he talked about municipalities. If there's a court order, municipalities have to comply with court orders. They're not exempt. That was in the opinion. You'll discuss what I'm talking about because it was mentioned in my memo. Look at the September 2013 memo that I attached. At that time, Mr. Mapp, in September 2013, this is before the first time we were going to go for the capital bond ordinances that we finally issued in June of 2014. Remember, there's issues about using monies for the school board to buy the Y. There's 3 issues that we talked about that Mr. Mapp discounted. One was the per se disqualifying conflict of interest in Feld 10, where he says that the city was not aware of that issue. Well, I raised it at the planning board, and I raised it at the city council meeting. He says, don't give any credence to the Willis Edwards III litigation. We know what happened 3 years later. We had a judge who found the mayor and Mr. Willis to have willfully disobeyed the law. And he also talks about the Oakwood Towers transaction, where he says he didn't know whether I was right or wrong, or the validity of the refinancing of the HMFA mortgage. Because the HMFA mortgage was refinanced and satisfied, and the tax exemption lapsed. That's 6 years ago, where I was saying things and everyone was laughing at me, but 6 years later, everything I said has come true. But focus on the net debt issue. Thank you.
Joshua Sokolowski, I think he left. Yeah, okay.
Sokolsky, he left. Josh Sokolsky
You
left.
left, yeah.
Charlton, 225 Ivory Court.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Actually, I'm kind of embarrassed. My name is Charlton Griffith, 275 Ivy Court, Orange. And I appreciate that Councilor Harold Johnson, he brought this matter to you guys because it's becoming a crisis in my street. Can't park when I get home. I actually been living there for about 29 years. I bought that house ago. And my kids, they all went to Orange High School. They went to college out of there. And it's becoming a real crisis. I actually was the youngest person that was living on the street 28, 29 years ago. And all the older folks has moved on, and the people that's moving in, they're throwing the garbage, they're throwing the drugs in front of your house, they're stolen cars, we're getting off the streets, and you actually can't park. You get home, you can't park. And the new building, Grand Central building that they built up a couple of years ago, they're coming in the street to park because they don't want to pay for parking. The building outside of Ivy Court, they're coming there because they don't want to pay for parking. But the people that lives on the street can't park. And overnight they're playing music on your windows. They don't live there, they just park there. Stolen cars. And I spoke to Councilman Harold Johnson about it. I mean, I don't like the ordinance that's going to be passed, but I'm going to abide by it because it's going to be better for the streets. You know, because I have my kids, they still come back to the house. They don't live there, they still come back to the house, you know. I have my mom come to the house, everyone's drive, but I'm going to have to find parking for them somewhere else. But we need to be able to come home at night and park because I still live there, I work, and I got to leave and come back, but we can't. We have 2 cars between me and my wife, and we can't park. We can't park. We don't have a big driveway. We just have the driveway onto the garage that's attached to the house. And some people have big driveways, but they're all parking in the streets. And then their families, friends, they're smoking at night out there, whatever they're doing. And they're cursing you out when you come there to park. So Mr. Harold Johnson, you know, he took the matter up and he's running with it. And I hope we get this passed tonight. And most of the people from the block did not get here tonight because they were all working. But I took the initiative to come here because I run my own business out of there too. So I could take off. Most people have to go back to stay at work. So I'm hoping that this passes because it's going to help us a great deal. Because this wasn't happening 20 years ago, 29 years ago. It was not happening on this block. It's just gotten worse and worse. It's a crisis. We need help. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Harold. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Reverend Norman Sharif.
Good evening, council members.
Good evening.
First of all, thank you all for having us here. A few of my congregants here also from our church. My name is Reverend Norman Sharif from St. Gabriel's Ethiopian Orthodox Theodore Church. Presently, we rent space at Cleveland Street, First Unitarian Church. And the situation at hand right now is that we bought the property next to Cod Funeral Home, 136 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey, on February 18, 2010. We closed on the loan January 3rd, 2017, and currently we are slated to complete renovation by the end of this year. The situation at hand is this, that we're paying our taxes diligently and on time from February 2010 until November 2018, when I came to a meeting here, and Mr. Hartwick, trying to help me out of his nature, told me that after a meeting that we were exempt from taxes. We followed a meeting with him, and he called Ms. Paula Ferreira, the tax collector, to confirm that our church should be exempt from taxes. And at that point, we were late because we were struggling. We are in Orange since 2008, and plan to be a community-based church. We plan to have health fairs, food pantry, tutoring for the kids to improve the education status, other things to the community at large, and bring a spiritual balance to Orange. And we're struggling with our members, and our financial stress when we divert our meager resources to the renovation of property, which is taxes, which we were told we'd have to pay going forward. We met to the mayor Honorable one twice, and he told us to print a proposal to his office, which we did July 15th of this year. And the proposal, we requested a waiver, tax waiver, for taxes owed from fourth quarter 2018 to fourth quarter 2019. The figure is about $25,000, I think. So we are here tonight to request the council to look deep into our situation, because we have entered Orange hoping to get some kind of incentive or encouragement to continue our journey in a spiritual balance community, and to help our people find some hope in the word, by the word of God. So we hope tonight that the council will look into our heart and see that we're trying our best. We are diligent, we're qualified to the community services, spiritual, secular, etc., to find a better hope, and we hope you can help us by passing a resolution to waive all taxes which we owe, because right now we're in a dilemma. The bank that funds us told us that if we don't pay all the taxes, they're going to stop the funding of the project. And right now we don't have the finances to pay the taxes right now. We don't have the resources at all to pay the taxes. The dilemma right now is, and it's hard to meant well, but it puts us in a very dire situation. And right now we're appealing to the council to just look into our situation and grant us some reprieve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Liz Sharif.
Good evening, Council President and members of the Council Board.
Good evening, how are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight as we come here as a church, I'm asking everyone on the Council Board not only to open their ears, but also to open their heart and see where we're coming from and where we intend to go. I was also present at the meeting with Mr. Hartwick and Mrs. Ferreira, and I know they meant well. But we were elated when they told us we didn't have to pay no more taxes. So all the resources we had, we put in the building so we could go further. Now because we did that, we are in a dire situation. As we said, the allegiance to the flag tonight, I was focusing on the last sentence that said equality and justice for all. And that's all I'm asking for tonight. We are a church that is different. And I know we can be a bright light and an asset to the city of Orange. So please, let us work together in unity, love, and peace to build this great city. Right now, we have young people who are in the medical field, lawyers, computer scientists, entrepreneurs, engineers, and who wants to do health fair, workshop, college prep courses, soup kitchen, food, and clothes drive. They're eager young people. Every Friday night they meet and they have different programs for the youth, which we would like to extend even more. But because we don't have our own place, we are limited. Also, we have members of our church who were born and grown here in the city of Orange. We have members still living here in the city of Orange. We have members who have businesses in the city of Orange. And you know, Orange means a lot to us. So we are asking you, please, kindly, to help us so we can help the city. You know, we are an underserved congregation who catered mainly to the people that are in need. Every quarter, we do fundraiser, and we give food to Isaiah House, to Newark Emergency Service, and to battered women who are trying to get back into the profession. We give them small packages. We're very active, but we're limited because we don't have our own place. We would not have to be here if we were not promised that we didn't have to pay any more taxes. As a matter of fact, we were even offered a refund. And I know it was out of the goodness of their heart. So it was passed and then rescinded. Once it was passed to me, that means that it was possible. The reason why it was rescinded, I don't know, but I'm asking everyone, please, please help us so we can help our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Tyrone Tarver.
Good evening, everyone. Tyrone Tarver, 258 Ogden Street. I am a school board member, but I'm not speaking on behalf of the school board tonight. I'm speaking as a citizen. I just had a couple of questions about what the council is voting on tonight. With Resolution 369, 2019, I see it's amending the agreement with the East Orange Water Commission concerning the bulk sale and purchase of water. Maybe you can just take a few minutes to explain the amendments that will be made to the agreement. Lastly, also one comment on the bill list. I see under admin rentals and fees, there's a payment to Enterprise Car Rental for the month of October 2019 in the amount of $3,804.67. But I also see that this follows up a couple of September payments to Enterprise Car Rental as well. On the September 17th bill list, there was a $1,639.54 payment to Enterprise for the month of August of this year. And following that, there was a $9,137.78 for September payment, again, to Enterprise. So maybe someone can comment on the nature of the agreement with Enterprise Car Rental, maybe comment on the number of vehicles, if vehicles are involved with the with this agreement, what's the use of the vehicles, the number of positions that have access to the vehicles. Basically, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Gloria Stewart.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Gloria Stewart, resident of Orange. I'm happy to be back. I've been away for a while, but my thoughts were still with the council and the business that you do for our great city. I'm going to start off like I normally did. The mayor is not in place. But I must say that on, I think it was Saturday morning, I did attend the Democratic breakfast. It was awesome. It was good to hear the people speaking about the situation that we're in and trying to come out of. I've been a Democrat all my life, and I think basically because what democracy itself means is why I attach myself to that particular party. And I just want to say that it was a nice affair. Then I would like to just go on and I'm going to say thank the councilwoman, and I hope you pass it, the resolution 354 about adopting October as Cancer Awareness Month. And as I always say, I am a breast cancer survivor, and you probably might say, well, why do you keep saying it? And I'm saying it because God has blessed me another year to be here to speak on it and to express my appreciation. So it was 2005, so I guess you can do the math. I'm still alive and well, and I wanted to give God the glory, so I said that out so others who may be going through the same thing can know that He will do it. He can do it. The water, I wanted to speak also on the resolution about getting water from East Orange. I know at one time, I think years ago, we had that issue, and I want to know more about it, why, and you know that we came out of it, and what will the results be going back with the East Orange Water Commission, and why we have to go back to them. So I was kind of glad when we got out of it, but I just want some more feedback on that. And my last comment, crossing guards. I think that has been an issue, of becoming an issue in the city of Orange. I don't remember the name of the officer who's in charge of that, but I'm told that we have certain areas, and when I ride through, where we need crossing guards, and I would hope for the benefit and the safety of our students that we can look at it and not put the dollar as the, we can't do it reason. Think about our children. We see, witness how many get hurt, and so we can do something to prevent that from happening here in Orange. And crossing guards, it's not a whole lot of pay, but their duties, their support is astronomical. So if you can get them in the places that they need to be, it would, some of the parents I've spoken to, so if we can do that, it would be most helpful and grateful. So I'm going to stand here, and maybe I can get some resolve for some of the questions. Or do I need to sit?
He will respond later to the questions. Ms. Stewart, I just want to make a recommendation about the crossing guards, that you talk to your superintendent Fitzhugh, because him and the business administrator has been meeting. So if you have locations that you see void, let him know, and he meets with the business administrator and the police department, and he makes those requests through the school district so
Okay.
that we can get them, okay?
Okay, all right. Thank you for that suggestion.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart.
Move the agenda.
Is there a motion to close citizens' comments?
Second.
Councilwoman Williams and who was the
Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Council comments?
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
Okay, yes, I also attended the Orange Democratic Breakfast. I hadn't attended maybe for like 5 years, and there was a new energy in the room. I brought the senior class president of Orange High School with me, Milfy Love Milford. I brought her and her 4.9 GPA with me, but I thought it was important to let the young people see the leaders in Essex County, and she was blown away at the levels of leadership in the room. Like I said, it was just a really good feeling, and I have to agree with Ms. Stewart, the mayor, and every person that went up to speak. I left there, charged up, ready to help register people to vote. And, you know, I've been hard on district leaders because I really didn't understand what the job was, because what I'm being told the job is, I didn't see it that way. You know, I didn't see them at festivals a lot. I didn't see them registering people to vote. I didn't see an energy in the city to get us civically minded. But I'm seeing more and more. I'm going to events and I'm seeing the banner. So I think it's important. I'm working with the superintendent. He's doing a civics day at the high school, and I will be involved in that because that's where I registered to vote at Orange High School. Also, the city, we said it for the moment of silence. We lost one of our young leaders in the town, Maurice Williams. I went to high school with him. He was a football coach, baseball coach, family man, a lot of grandchildren, and definitely a huge loss. His services will be this Friday at Perry's in Newark. 11 o'clock is the wake, and then the funeral to follow. He was one of my dad's buddies, and just because I think of what he gave back to the city, before attending the council meeting today, I was with Councilwoman Wooten at the domestic violence tree lighting at the police department. And that was also moving. Survivors of domestic violence spoke, ministers spoke, the police department spoke, and we all shared whatever experiences we had, whether it was personal or with our families. Now, I left that meeting charged to talk to my middle school students, because a lot of times we put domestic violence, we always think it's women that are being abused, but I see every day girls hitting boys really, really hard and the boys restraining. So I think it's a conversation that I need to have with my students, but I thank you for acknowledging domestic violence. On the 24th of October, I will be having my first South Ward meeting of the year. And no matter what ward you live in, you are welcome. We talk about South Ward issues. However, some of the issues we speak on are citywide. I know that it is dinner time. The meeting is from 6:30 to 8, so we will be serving dinner. It is at 400 Jefferson Street. It's in the Valley at Artful Bean. Again, that's 400 Jefferson Street in the Valley, and it's the South Ward meeting. Just to let you know, directors come, they answer questions, you can come with issues. And lastly, I would like to welcome Emily Ann Jackman to the transcript. I am seeing such an outpour of positive energy for the city of Orange. We're making front page. I knew that if they put the correct person in the position, that people would start seeing the positive things in the city of Orange. I knew that there were great things going on in the city, but they were clouded with negativity. So I'm so happy that I have seen her at various events. When she cannot make it, she requests pictures. So council people, we need to start feeding her some information, letting her know when our meetings are, and we need to start telling our own story. Thank you.
And council members, I forgot to make one request. As you speak, could you just introduce yourselves again and give the boundaries of your town, of the area that you, like East Wards, South Ward? Because I've gotten so many calls where people don't know who their council persons are. Right. So I'm going to have the city clerk put together a diagram with the picture, and we're going to put a map of each ward, the boundaries, and post it downstairs in the lobby. So that's going to be a project coming up. Good. And I think that would be helpful. So you want to go back, because when our clerk calls your name, she doesn't say that. Okay. So I'm going to ask you, as you do your presentation, you talk about who you are and what position you hold. You want to go back to,
so I'm South Ward Councilwoman Jamie Summers Johnson, and basically the South Ward is the majority of the Valley. The Seven Oaks area is really hard. South and West is like, we need to sit together because it overlaps. But the Berkeley Avenue area, Haywood, for the most part, everything above Scotland Road, but it gets tricky. But yeah, that map will help. I get a lot of calls too. Thank you.
Right. Councilman Coley?
Oh, me? Okay. Thank you, Council President. How you doing today? I didn't get a chance to speak to you. How you doing today?
I'm doing good.
You just a little different with the hair? I like that. I'll be real quick, Council President. I think I mentioned this to, I don't know if I mentioned it to Mr. Mays or not, but I definitely mentioned it
First,
to
tell us what ward you have, and a
Oh,
little
East
bit
Ward.
about your building.
East Ward, lifelong East Ward resident, East Ward councilman, the other side, well, this side of 280, not the other side of 280. Well, no. Partial across town on this side. But anyway,
You started on that side, though.
I mentioned this to I think our deputy public works director. In a lot of towns that major highways go through, the overpasses have like the American flag and maybe that municipal flag. And I just feel that just showing some type of orange pride when you're coming down 280, going underneath our overpasses, I would like to see our flags on both sides of the overpass. So when you riding down 280, you know you're in orange. We have our municipal flag, we have the American flag, you know, nice and bright and strong. And I mean, that's just been on my heart for quite some time. And I think, is it next weekend or the weekend after, we have our shredding event. Our Public Works Department, they do a good job putting together the shredding event behind here at City Hall. Saturday, October 26th, from 9 to 1:30 p.m. Mr. Mays, thank you again for putting that together. For those who don't have shredders at home, it's a great time to come drop your stuff off and get those documents shredded, you know, in a secure fashion. And my years on the police department, as we transition from the summer, you know, until this time of year, where you start to wear jackets and coats. We had to be mindful of, as I always say, you know, we transition into the robbery season. So just be careful when you go about. Always be aware of your surroundings. Ladies especially, I see it all the time. When you're shopping, you got the shopping carts. They always walk away from the shopping carts, leave their pocketbook wide open, walking down the aisle shopping. Anyone can pick your stuff up and, take up with your wallet, and you never know it until you get ready to go to the register, and then it's too late. Also, Mr. Mays, what is the status of the repair to roof in the clerk's office? Are we making some progress with that?
Marty Mays, Director of Planning and DPW. Thankfully, the final repairs are being made to this roof.
Okay.
So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, it'll be leak-proof. And
Wonderful.
we could get the clerk's office back together.
Leak-proof?
I hope so.
And what if it isn't leak-proof, and then what are we going to do?
I don't even want to broach.
All right, so I'm leave it right there, leak-proof. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Mays. And one
Councilman-
last thing, I left out during robbery season. When we doing shopping, everyone, don't leave your personal belongings in plain view in your car. You just making yourself a victim. For someone to bust your window out and steal your package. Try and secure your personal belongings, as best as you possibly can. Always try and park in a well-lit, safe area. And ladies, when you are walking, I tell it to all the females, in my family, when you're walking, from point A to point B, especially in the area where you feel some kind of way. If you have your keys, just have your keys kind of positioned in your hand in such a way that if you have to maybe, engage someone, make sure you do it in a way that you can tell a story. That's all.
And
Thank
just
you.
another note on that, don't leave items in your car at night to take
Absolutely.
everything out.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Make
Council
sure your
President.
doors are locked.
And a good alarm system.
Yes. Councilwoman Williams?
Thank you, Council President. A couple of announcements, a couple of questions. Through you to Mr. Hartwick. Mr. Hartwick, where are we at with the census planning?
Had a meeting in this building with a representative from the Census Bureau last week. We received some information regarding how many positions could be funded. There is a request out to the Board of Education to provide some representation on the committee so that it's not just municipal employees on the committee. And there's a follow-up meeting scheduled, but I don't have the date with me.
And have we start meeting with the community?
The committee is responsible for doing the outreach and setting up a schedule.
Okay, and we'll have a schedule.
There's a report that came out of the committee meeting, but I don't have access to it. But there is a date set for a follow-up meeting.
Okay. And I don't know if Ms. Stewart was talking about the same thing with crossing guards, but I know in driving around, I've seen a lot of police on crossing guard posts. Is that just a sickness issue, or are we short?
It's actually a traffic enforcement issue. In areas where we had determined that crossing guards were not getting the cooperation of the motoring public, we put police officers out there.
Gotcha.
And we're handing out tickets.
And Council President did an ordinance some time ago regarding buildings with parking and charging additional. Is that something not enforceable? Because I just heard the gentleman state, okay.
It's under review.
Okay.
I'm aware of the ordinance. There are a number of landlords who have conveyed to us that enforcement of such ordinance will result in a lawsuit. So we're looking at the issue to see whether or not, and the law department has to render an opinion on the enforceability.
Okay. Can we have some time frame as to when we can get that?
Well, we were doing it as part of the overall parking situation, but if we need to, we can break it out and accelerate it.
And that's the same thing, we did an ordinance in terms of around transit parking as well, I know,
Correct.
and to see if that's enforceable as
Right.
well. Next question is, between doing a lot of development, probably the cleaning up and everything, there has been more rodents coming around. And I don't know if we're seeing them more because of, I know that when we're doing development, that we have a requirement that the developer has to bait, I think, once or twice. How do we know if that bait is strong enough? Is the period of just, because I'm getting complaints, I know the health department getting complaints about seeing a lot more rodents. Do we need to try something different?
I have to defer to the health officer who's responsible for the baiting program, but I can have him here at the next meeting to give you the answers or the report, or I can have him write a report to the council.
Okay, and I know we had talked about, and Marlon, this is probably a note for you, that possibly maybe twice is not enough, and maybe the periods in between.
Pretty sure that those are mandated by state statute.
So we can't be
But I have
stricter?
to check.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that we couldn't be stricter, or I just need to get Vinnie's input before I speak publicly on the subject.
And Mr. Tarver, I'm glad that you're here. I had an opportunity to attend the Amistad Commission meeting. They're going to carry it over. One of the questions that I went to ask, and others from other municipalities, is the implementation in our municipality. So if you could kind of send a memo to see if we're at 100%, 50%, and what we're doing in our district. as well. Okay, thank you. I want to remind everybody that, well, today was the deadline for register to vote. The election is November 5th, and we'll be voting from state all the way down to our local school board. Get informed. Mr. Tarver was up. I don't know if we'll have, hopefully we'll get some announcements, and probably by the time we come back, well, if we have the special meeting, we can possibly announce it and put it on our website if there are going to be forums to get to know the candidates. But I want to encourage the citizens to seek out who are the people that are running for your local school board. We're still in the process of transitioning from an appointed to an elected school board. And I want to give Ms. Stewart kudos because the action of one person makes a difference. And that was Ms. Stewart's very first question when I got elected in 2008. How do we go? Is an elected school board better for our district, better for our city than an appointed school board? And that question and the continue, she's very persistent with asking question, is a result of us having an elected school board. So I want to thank you. And I apologize, Council President did get instruction. I am Donna K. Williams. I am council member at large, which means I represent the whole city. Bethel Baptist, happy anniversary, 102 years. I know
102 years young.
102 years that you guys celebrated. And we have two things that was passed. One was passed by referendum. That's the open space tax, and it will be in your last quarter of your tax bill. We, the council, have to appoint, as well as the mayor has to make an appointment, an advisory committee. So, Council President, everybody we have to do that appointment because that's a part of the open space tax and those funds being utilized in our community. And we also have to appoint persons to the Affirmative Action Committee. And I think at this point, only myself and Councilman Jackson have appointed. And finally, I have two resolutions, one for breast cancer awareness and one for domestic violence. Both are very matters that are very, very dear to me, and even here in Orange, I believe in July and maybe later on, we had two very serious domestic violence cases. We had a young lady from East Orange come in, and she did a class over at 400 Oakwood Avenue as a result of the situation in July. Domestic violence is a very serious matter. Councilwoman Wooten did a program today. Often these are type of things that go and people suffer in silence. We've seen many cases. I recall the teacher in East Orange a couple of years ago. So as we pass these legislation, let us be mindful of them. And breast cancer is something that many of the women in my family have dealt with, and I ask that we be very proactive. October, I know the fire department has this big, when it's, I think during the time of we're turning back our lights, whatever, or the clocks is when we check our smoke detectors, and October is a good month if you're not doing it to go and get your tests done. I also hear, I haven't done the reading, that there are more cases of even men being challenged with breast cancer. So perhaps in our families, this is something else that we can do together, but make sure that we're getting checked. That's very, very important, and that we stay on top of our health, because it's something very preventable if we take care of it early. Thank you, Council President. Oh, I'm sorry. Coach Mo. Coach Mo is somebody that you would just see at all the games, somebody that he's younger than me, but somebody that we grew up together, our families in the community. Somebody who lived a very well life. He was very sincere in serving our babies here in Orange. You will always see him at the sideline as just a very dedicated coach. My heart goes out to his wife and his family and his babies. I will always catch him and take a picture of him. He was like, "Donna, knock it off." He's going to be missed, but God knows that he's left us with a host of memories. So just sending continued love out to his family. And I hope that we could, honor him in some way, Council President.
We will. Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Council President. I'm Christopher Jackson. I am an at-large councilman, which means I represent the whole town. And I want to continue with recognition of Coach Mo as someone who has, contributed to the development of young men on the football field. And as you know, coaches always affect them in their lives as they are, developing as young men. To illustrate some of his success, we have a young man named Willington Prevalon, who is a defensive tackle for Rutgers University. And although Rutgers is a losing team at this point, Willington's progress has been recognized by the Big Ten as well as the team, and he is doing very well and representing that tornado power on their defensive line. I recommend you visit the Rutgers team site and see a recent article about his development. He's 6'5", 295 pounds, and he's playing in what may be the most competitive football conference in the college game. I know we have other superstars, but since Coach Mo has passed, I just wanted to recognize one of the success stories related to his efforts. We talk about the census. I encourage everyone to please participate in the census. There will be, as has been mentioned earlier, more information and opportunity for people to participate in the counting. The counting of citizens is directly related to the state and federal funding that we receive based on our population numbers. And I believe that Orange is notoriously undercounted. So we will be educating people as to what the census is, and that you need not be afraid of being counted. It's not going to be ICE and OPD knocking on your door. It's going to be people who want to just register your claim as a citizen of this country so that we can have the correct number of people documented. I'd also like to talk about on October 5th, there was a fall cleanup in the town. Councilwoman Wooten and I, my wife, Mayor Warren, about 20 members of the Department of Public Works, and about another 20 citizens, young people came out. We had a mother who brought her son and some friends, and wanted to make sure that we were going to use them for some of the dirty work, so they'd understand that it's their town and it's their obligation to help keep it clean. We were down in the valley and other parts of the town to let citizens know that we were there to help them keep their area clean. And as we go into the fall, we transition into leaves, cleanup. Remind you that leaf bags are available at the Department of Public Works every day. I believe it's 12 to 3 on South Essex. You just go to the back of the parking lot and someone will give you some bags so that you'll be able to collect those leaves that are falling on your property. And I also attended the breakfast, Democratic breakfast. It was truly a wonderful event, and I think that to have a state assemblyman, a governor, a former governor, and other people, the Democratic chair of Essex County, people who came there to recognize the importance of Orange as a bastion of democratic power. And also, I think it also is indicative that our council is unified in a way that has developed over the years, different than those years when there was more controversy and conflict. And it's made our town more powerful, the unity and the effectiveness of our efforts. So thanks to all council members as well. Other than that, here we go. It's already October. I mean, November is coming quickly. This year is getting ready to end. What you said about locking your doors, don't forget to lock your doors. It may be nice and quiet on your street and peaceful, but there are people who are desperate and may find a way to take some of your property. So just be precautious and need not be afraid, but just take care, as Councilman Coley and the Council President have said. That's all for me. I wanted to reiterate my contact information as an at-large councilman. Not everybody has an opportunity to use email. My phone number is 862-240-3634, 862-240-3634. And my email address, if you'd like to do that, is cjackson@orangenj.gov. Thanks so much, Council President.
Councilman Wooten?
Council President, so I have a question for the business administrator or Director Douglas regarding a safety issue. When you travel, or like I visited Ivy Court just recently, and West Monica Court and Adrian Court, and I noticed, like, how do we know that a fire engine can get safely down those streets? Because a lot of times there are cars parked in those cul-de-sacs where they say there's no parking. And I know we were dealing with West Monica, but is there some sort of test that we could do? Maybe like drive the engine to see, just to point out that it might be a safety issue for the neighbors that live on the street. So if there's a vacant car, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so with respect to the 3 streets that you mentioned, there is a public safety vehicle access issue. If the cars are illegally parked on Ivy Court, there's no way that a truck is getting down that street. Same with West Monica Court, which we went out and visited. Same with Adrian Court. We have put in on both Adrian and West Monica Court parking restrictions. Tonight you'll hopefully act on the Ivy Court. There are other streets, and I have to tell you that I can only assume that it was an oversight over a vast many years. Let's take Seven Oaks Way. Similar to West Monica Court, because it's a road that's created to access a condominium development. It's not a road that's built to any current engineering standards or public safety standards for vehicles. So we've addressed the parking issue on Seven Oaks Way as well. As these issues come up, much like they did on Reynolds Terrace, where we still have to implement both the signage and the change in direction, we'll attempt to the greatest extent possible to address the public safety issue. But in answer to your question, in any development application that is being processed that impacts streets, the fire department's review of that process through the technical review committee is supposed to include recommendations to ensure that particularly those vehicles can pass. Because if you can get a fire truck through, you can get an ambulance through, and you can get a police car through. So that's how we address it on an ongoing basis. But some of these roads should not have been approved in the manner in which they were. That goes back 30, 40, sometimes 20 years.
So is there a way that we could like place fire hydrants where, even if it's on the next block over or through someone's yard, that we could access?
We already have fire hydrants placed within 500 feet of just about every location in the city, and in many instances, a much shorter distance than that. But that's also part of the technical review committee's responsibility to address both standpipes and fire hydrant locations.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Regarding the census, they are taking applications. It was announced at the breakfast on Saturday, and I will send the clerk and to Keith Forrester, the application paper where people can go online and apply for those jobs. I think the starting pay, I think she said was like $21 an hour. They need a lot of people to be out in the neighborhoods, be part-time. You'll be knocking on doors to announce the census well before the census actually happens. So hopefully I can get that to the clerk tomorrow, or maybe tonight even, and then we can post it on our website, and that'll let people know about that. As Councilman, and I'm sorry, my name is Adrian Wooten. I am an at-large city council, which means that our territory is the entire city. So, as Councilman Jackson said, we did the citywide cleanup. I'm sorry?
Councilman Jackson.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No, I think somebody. Okay, all right. Well, Councilman Jackson and I, we had great fun doing the citywide cleanup. We did the South Ward, as he said. We were on Langdon and those streets over there. We knocked on a couple of doors, raking. The citizens were really happy. We were knocking on doors, bringing people out. They were, telling people that we need to let people know. So maybe we can check into I don't know what else we can do with communication, because I know we send out an email to over 7,000 people regarding our event. So I guess we just have to drop flyers, but that was a really good event. We ended up on Freeway Drive with East Orange, Ted Green, and we did some weed whacking and some raking, so that was a really good day. And it was a beautiful day outside, too. It was a beautiful day. Councilman Jackson taught me a little bit about planting mums and how deep you have to go, but it was really, really a great day. On Sunday, after we left Bethel for their 102nd anniversary, we were coming home and we saw a grand opening sign and a hair salon. So it's ML Hair Salon on Center Street. So we got out and walked in. Hospitality was impeccable. They were like welcoming. The food was out of this world, but it's a new hair salon on Center Street. Very nice people, very down-to-earth people. I think the proprietor's name is Wendy. She's been in business for over 20 or 30 years, and so she welcomes people in the city of Orange Township. I asked her, did she do natural hair? She does do natural hair, so might have to go there and check her spot out. As Councilwoman Summers said, we did do a purple tree lighting ceremony today in the city of Orange Township. I want to thank Councilwoman Williams for her resolution regarding that. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. It was many, 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 many years ago. It's something that people don't talk about. It's silent. You may or may not be ashamed of what you're going through. So I think, and I thought it was important for survivors and people who are going through this right now to let them know that there are people in the city of Orange Township who care about this and people that you could reach out to. So as Councilwoman Summers said, we had council people there tonight. We had the police there. We had the clergy there. We had the health department there. We had public works there. And then we had just people from the community there to let people know that if you are going through this in your life, there are people in the city that you can contact. And when you think of domestic violence, a lot of people think of women. Men get beat up too. And it's also something big and prevalent in our high schools. So we were given a charge that we need to check out our high school students, as Councilwoman Summers said, the 8th and 9th graders, and, just be watchful of this horrible thing that goes on in the community. I think this Saturday is Teen Summit in the city of Orange Township. That's Friday. Is it Friday and Saturday night or Saturday?
Friday
And Saturday night. So that's something that's always exciting to go to. I think, Council President, I think that's it.
Councilman Johnson?
Yeah, that's it.
Council
Thank you.
President, thank you very much. I'm going to be really, really brief. I'm Councilman Harold Johnson of the West Ward. And often on the boundaries, a lot of the streets there separate the West Ward from the South Ward or separate the East Ward. So Real roughly, the West Ward runs from East Side on South Center Street all the way over to Jefferson Street on the west side. And on the northern part, and I don't want to start getting into the 4 different districts, but I'll go all the way over to Main Street and further south all the way down to Lincoln Place. That's kind of the boundaries of the West Ward. But if by chance you call the clerk's office and everybody's confused and I get the call, you will have service. You never have to worry about if you get in the wrong pot. We will do a geographical location of where you actually live. You will find out who your council person is, and then we will take your matter up from there. Thank you, Council President.
That's it?
That's it.
And I'm Councilwoman Tensees, and I have the North Ward, which is the north side of Main Street, that borders West Orange on the west, and East Orange, and the east side of the west side of North Day Street. So I border East Orange and West Orange, and I'm on the north side of Main. And right now, we're sitting in the East Ward, which used to be part of the North. So Councilman Cooley stole that from me, but that's okay. But anyway.
I'll give it back to you next week.
I only have a couple. First of all, I want to talk about Pink Out on Saturday, October the 19th. We will be doing a parade on Pink Out for Cancer, which is going to raise money for cancer awareness. So we're asking all cancer survivors and anyone who wishes to participate. It's a collaboration between East Orange and Orange. We will start at Elmwood Park in East Orange, and we will march up Central Avenue to Orange Park and return. The parade starts at 10 o'clock, so registration starts at 8. If you want to register, it's $25, and you get a free T-shirt. All monies will go to cancer awareness. So it's benefiting the American Cancer Society. So please sign up and come out. There is a competition between East Orange and Orange, East Campus High and Orange High School, to see how many students Orange will provide and how many East Orange. So we're gonna see who has the juice. That's the caption. So we're asking everybody, and then after the event, there will be activities in Elmwood Park, vendors, entertainment, so come out and spend the day. It should be a nice day. And by the way, Councilman Cole, who's that we're talking about? The leaking in City Hall? I understand. We had a meeting with Joey DiVincenzo today. Tomorrow night is supposed to be torrential rain. So, Mr. Mays, you will know on Thursday morning if your leak has been fixed. We're also going to watch Clay Street and Oakwood Avenue to see if that floods. So we're on that watch. And just Councilman Coley mentioned the American flag. We're going to have a Veterans Day parade on November the 12th.
10.
Is it the 10th? It's on the 10th. And we will be raising, we're in the planning, Business Administrator Hartwick. He doesn't know this yet, but we're planning to raise the American flag. So we want everybody out there and show some pride in America. For once, we're going to raise the United States American flag. So you can come out and support. We're just in the planning stage, so I hope to see you there. And then the flags that we buy, we can probably hang one on 280. So that will cover that. Mr. Hartwick, you talked about parking when I legislated the parking lot, that each apartment should get one parking space. And when they mentioned Ivory Court, that is one of the reasons we're having so many parking issues. Nobody wants to pay parking in the lots for the buildings that they're living in. That was what the legislation was about. So I don't know when we got away from each landlord assigning one parking space to each apartment instead of giving them an apartment, and then you charge them, I think in my ward, it's like $75 a month to park. So the legislation was supposed to cure that, but we are not enforcing it. And I don't know why that would generate a lawsuit. I guess that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into the explanation in public, but it's something we can discuss in closed session because I'm having
that's fine. That's
discussions
fine.
with some of the
Because-
building owners and landlords.
Because
On those buildings where we have entered into redevelopment agreements and/or pilot agreements, we have much more control over the issue than you do on buildings that have been here without that parking for decades and had an established business practice of charging people and had existing leases. So that's the dilemma that we find ourselves in. But it's not a insurmountable problem, there's just a way we have to go about it.
Okay, because that would alleviate a lot of the parking issues. When you come up Cleveland Street, I have multiple buildings there. The parking lot is empty. The parking lots are empty, but the streets are crowded with parking. So we need to figure it out how we're going to resolve that. And you're right, we need to have a longer discussion on that to see how we're gonna alleviate some of the parking issues that we have in Orange. Something changed, but I don't know what, and I don't know how and when, so we need to address that. And one of the other things that we put on the books and talk about cleanup day, I also legislated that landscapers could not blow their trash in the street. And we need our police department to get on board and enforce that, because while you guys was cleaning, I was running down the street in my pajamas telling the guy he should not blow his leaves in the street. And he didn't understand that, but.
Please don't do that again.
I was just sitting here, I was just so angry, I had to go out there and I had to stop him because I tell him I clean up that block all the time, and I'm watching you blow all your garbage in the street, which the wind is gonna blow right back into where you blew it from in an hour or so. So I think we need to make sure that we get that legislation over so that the police departments can start watching for the landscapers and making sure that would solve some of our trash problems also.
I agree.
And our leaves, so.
And I
So I
think
did
we
do
should
cleanup
have a
that day, just
resolution that
on my
prohibits
block.
council members from
But
running out
anyway.
in their pajamas.
But anyway, let's move on, that's all I have.
Council President?
Yes, Councilwoman
I
Wooten.
just got a text from someone that said, congratulate the OH as cheerleaders who competed in Cheer for Cure tonight in Bloomfield. They were really good, and their hard work showed in their performance. So congratulations, Orange High School cheerleaders.
Tornadoes.
Good. Very good, and I understand our football team is doing well too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, move the agenda.
Ordinance on second reading, public hearing, 36-2019, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 200-10.2, Residential Parking, Permit and Prohibited Parking During Certain Hours. Ivory Court, sponsored by Councilmember Harold J. Johnson, Jr. Are there any citizens who wish to speak? Motion to close citizen comments?
Move.
Second.
Councilwoman Williams and Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt on final?
Move.
Second.
Are you guys doing a duet over there?
Yes.
Okay. Councilwoman Weezen and Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
On the motion? Roll call, Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Eason?
Yes.
37-2019, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicle and Traffic, Section 200-10.2, Residential Parking, Permit and Prohibited Parking During Certain Hours, Merle Court, sponsored by Councilmember Tensier Eason. Any citizens wish to speak?
Motion to close citizens' comments?
Second.
Second.
Williams and Johnson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt on final?
Move.
Second.
Williams and Summers Johnson.
On the motion?
I have a question. How soon have we ordered the signs, or how soon can we get the signs?
Typically, these signs Typically, these signs are on back order 4 to 8 weeks.
Ooh, that's not
And that's even, the 4 weeks is when we use the local guy, the 8 weeks is when we use the state contract guy.
And the permits will be available when?
Those are easy,
So they'll be available right away.
right.
Can we,
I'll see if I can get the local guy to speed it up. Marty and I had a Vulcan mind melt.
Can you put temporary signs in?
Temporary signs are just gonna get torn down.
so if you do the local guy, do you have to get 2 quotes?
Depends on the cost.
Okay. So the local guy is 4 weeks. Well, you have to wait 20 days before you can put them up anyway, right? So that gives us about the right time frame. Okay.
Roll call, Councilman Coley,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Eason.
Yes.
Ordinance introduction, first reading, 48, 2019 will be moved towards the end of the agenda when we go into executive session. 49-2019, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 200, entitled Vehicle and Traffic, Section 200-35, Schedule 4, Time Limited Parking, Cleveland Street. Is there a motion to adopt on first?
Move.
Second.
Councilwoman Williams and James Summers Johnson.
On the motion? Seeing none, roll call, Councilman Coley,
Yes.
Councilman Jackson,
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten,
Yes.
Council President Eason.
Yes.
Consent agenda. All items listed in asterisk are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. So, just for the record, I'm just going to tell you, 357-2019 was amended, and the amendment was, only thing was added was the state statute which governed this. 361-2019 was amended. The second whereas, the $4,250 was added to the dollar amount. And then the fourth whereas, $4,250 was removed. 365-2019.
I'm sorry. I need to ask a question.
It's not on here? Okay.
Weren't they on the agenda?
I thought they were on the agenda. Yeah, they're in there.
Got it. All right. So this one needs to be held.
Okay, okay. 365, 2019, page 2, paragraph 1. In the whereas clause, and utility was taken out, and the dollar amount is now $1,973.97, no, $1,973,097. And then the affidavit by the CFO, paragraph 2, the utility was taken out. The dollar amount changed to $1,973,000, or $1,973,097. Current, and then the utility was taken out, and then the total final is $657,699.03. Those are the amendments. Are there any items the council wish to remove from the agenda for a separate vote?
Remember, 338, we're holding to after
That's
the
removed.
executive session.
Okay.
So 338. Does one of the 347 to 348 have to be removed, Ms. Hartwick?
No, just 347 has to be held.
So, okay.
For another meeting?
I'm going to speak to you about a special meeting. The signed signature page got into my office this afternoon around 4:40.
So 348 is okay.
348 is done. And you have in front of you the salary impacts and budget impacts by person.
338 is fine, or 338 we have to do executive?
338 we have to talk about in executive session.
Right. Anybody, any council members had any others that they want held? Move the agenda.
The consent agenda consists of 335, 348, 352, 353, 354, 355, 356, 357, 358, 359, 360, 361, 362, 363, 364, and 365. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Move.
Second.
Councilwoman Williams and Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
On the motion? Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason?
Yes.
So, I just need to, because 347 is on the agenda, I just need somebody to make a motion to postpone it to the next meeting or to a special meeting.
Are we gonna talk about an executive session, I thought you said?
No, that's
Not 347.
348.
Okay.
That's the fire.
A motion to postpone.
Is there a second?
Councilwoman Williams
Second.
and Councilwoman Wooten.
Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Eason?
Yes.
I just want to be clear that if we agree on a special meeting, that item will be on the agenda.
Correct. There is no new business, or is there? No.
What, is it, why, can,
No
why-
new business. Any new business?
I'm asking, why do we need a special meeting?
Because I discussed with the council in closed session the item regarding the hospital,
Gotcha.
and we're not ready, we're not finished, and I will need a special meeting by next week. I will be finished by then, based on meetings that will occur this week.
But it can't wait till the,
It
okay,
can't.
I'm just, all
Yeah.
right, okay.
Other business. Resolution 366-2019, a walk-on. A resolution to hold an executive session to discuss personnel matters and litigation. Is there a motion?
Move.
Motion by Councilwoman Williams.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Wooten.
On the motion? Seeing none, roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Eason?
Yes.
Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Move.
Councilman
Second.
Johnson and who said- Councilwoman Wooten.
On the motion? Roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Eason?
Yes.
At this time, we need to go into executive session. It is now 8:50 PM. We're now back in regular session, 9:58.
We can do 48, 2019.
Ordinance on introduction and first reading. 48-2019. An ordinance to amend the code of the City of Orange Township, Chapter 24, entitled Defense Against Civil or Criminal Charges, Local Public Employees, Appointees, and Officials, sponsored by Councilmember Carrie J. Coley. Is there a motion to adopt on first?
Move.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Johnson Jr., second by Councilwoman Williams on the motion.
On the motion, Madam Clerk, is, it possible we can pull this resolution? Or we gotta vote it down?
An ordinance.
Oh, I mean, ordinance.
You should vote it down if you're gonna vote it down.
Okay, just vote it down. Okay.
Roll call, Councilman Coley?
No.
Councilman Jackson?
No.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
No.
Councilwoman Williams?
No.
Councilwoman Wooten?
No.
Council President Eason?
No.
That is 6 noes, 1 yay. Motion failed.
Motion what?
Failed.
Legislation failed. It didn't pass.
Okay. All right, so we're going to 338?
Yes, 338.
Motion to table.
Didn't finish yet.
Resolution 338-2019, a resolution authorizing property tax exemption and waiving the tax balance of $20,142.40 for Block 3002, Lot 2, AKA 136-140 Main Street, Orange, New Jersey, 07050, AKA Deborah Grant or Gannett Kiddis Gabrielle Ethiopian Orthodox Tewanhedo Church. Is there a motion to adopt?
A motion to table.
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson.
Motion to table by Councilwoman Williams, second by Councilman Johnson Jr. On the motion?
You can't do the motion to table until you have a motion on the resolution. So you have to do a motion on the resolution, you have to do a second, and then you have to do a table.
That's right.
Motion
Because you can't act on the resolution until it's actually on the floor.
Motion to rescind my table.
Motion has to withdraw your motions. Councilman Williams and Councilman Johnson. Could I have a motion on 338, 2019?
Okay. A motion, move.
Second.
Williams and Jackson.
On the motion?
Motion to table.
Motion tabled by Williams.
Second.
And Johnson.
On the motion?
Yeah.
On the motion,
So,
Vice Administrator Hartwick.
so, pardon?
Once it's tabled, there's no discussion.
It hasn't been tabled yet, there's just a motion on the floor. The action will be followed by the administration meeting with the representatives of the church, their attorney, their lender, the city attorney, the city tax assessor, and we'll, if you table this, we'll come back with another proposed resolution as soon as we can get the parties together.
Seeing none, roll call. Councilman Coley?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wooten?
Yes.
Council President Eason?
Yes.
The resolution is tabled. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Councilman Johnson and Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
Was it Summers Johnson or Wooten?
Summers Johnson. Oh, that was Wooten? Yeah. That one she got talk
All in
louder.
favor? Any opposed?
Council President, what are we going to have the clerk's
Meeting?
office poll us about the meeting next week?
Adjourned at
Well, yeah.
10:03.
When Chris decides that he needs it.
10:03.
He hasn't.